Okay, let's start with doing the first two steps on the how I would approach the final project, which is going to be making the SketchUp model. As always, I get rid of them. I'm not going to go through a whole lot of explanation with each step here because I want to just show you how I would do it. You could go back to some of my earlier videos if you need any more pointers on SketchUp. I'm going to switch the styles, shut off profiles, put it by axis. I'm going to orbit around and zoom out a little because I know I'm going to need to. Just get it where I'd like it. A little orbit and pan. If you go back to assignment 8, I had the dimensions of the building listed. So I'm going to start from the rear corner of the house. The addition, that's a 20-foot line. We're going to go 12 feet. Notice I'm just entering these distances. I know this is 8 feet even though I didn't write it on the sheet because it's the same on both sides. And we're walking around. Making sure I've got my green axis going where it says it's supposed to be. With each one of these, you'll see I'm just putting in the dimensions that I have. When I don't have them, I can measure them. That front bump out is 4 feet. Here, I'll zoom in a little. I don't have to measure it, I'll just use that feature. Go over 15 feet. If I want to check it, yep, it lines up. And then I go back 8 feet. And bingo. We got the footprint of our building done. I'm going to break it into its 4 sections. The side addition, the garage, and the front bump out. Okay, I've got in assignment 8, I listed the height of the building, the main building at 20 feet, and the end buildings at 11 feet. I'm going to use push-pull. There's 11 feet. You notice it stopped at 20. Excuse me, it stopped at 11. It'll only go as high as the last one I did. I just click it again and pull it up another 9 feet. This one's 11 feet up. I'll undo that. Well, that is just being a problem. So we'll just type it in. 11 feet. This one I'm going to make the same height as the front of the building. Now I'm going to go on to the roofs. The main roof is 16 feet tall. I'm just going to find the midpoint here. Go up 16 feet. I'll make a triangle here. I'll make a triangle here. I'll find the midpoint here. You'll notice that the red line popped up when it was right at the same height as that. There's the back of the roof. There's the front of the roof. You could do the side roofs first. I'm going to do the front roof, which I know is 4 feet tall. I'm going to go up 4 feet. Make sure it's on the blue axis. I'm going to make my triangles. This one gets a little funky. I'm going to draw a green line. Make sure it's green, not red. I'm going to zoom in a little on that because I want to bring it back till it says on face. And then click it and it's still green. And then I can just connect the dots corner to corner, and all of a sudden I've got this. What I should have done about 5 steps ago was go File, Save. and it's going to ask me where I want to save it to. In my case, I'll put it on the desktop. I'm going to give it the name of 2020 class final SketchUp. I'll get rid of that untitled. Save. All right, having done that, I'm now going to get around to the end roofs. Those roofs are 11 feet tall. I'm just going to draw a line up 11 feet. Make my triangles. And we'll see how this behaves. Yep, that's fine. It's going to be on edge. It's on the center again. Make sure it's red. Click. And there's that part of the roof. This other addition is 10 feet tall. Well, my goodness, we can just orbit our way out of that. Get ourselves back to where we were. I'm going to draw a line. Going to go up 10 feet. Make my triangle. Make my triangle. Go straight back on the red. I got a lot of lines here messing me up. There it is. Make sure it's red. It's going to say on edge because I had a line left from before. I'm going to just do that back wall first. Back roof. And then do that. Got all my roofs on now. File. Save. All right, I'm gonna now, you kind of have a choice. You can skip putting the windows in if you don't want to. I kind of like to, just because it's less things I have to worry about to trace. And before they do that, I want to get rid of a lot of these unnecessary lines. So I select them, delete them. They just get in the way when I want to start drawing the windows. Also, another line that for now is confusing to me are my axis lines, the blue, the green, and the red. Now I know that blue is up, red is left and right, green is back and forth. And so if I just turn those off, I can go to View, see where it says Axis, I can shut those off. And it just doesn't confuse me when I'm putting other lines, and I can always turn them back on later if I feel I need them, and I probably will. Pan over here. Get rid of some of these lines. And we'll just orbit around and make sure I don't have any stray lines in there. And I don't. All right, let's move on to the windows. The windows appear to be 5 feet off the ground. So what I would do is, there's a couple different ways I could do it. For starters, I'm going to select this line. And I'm going to hold down, well, I think in Windows it's the Shift key, and in Mac it's the alternate or Option key. See the little plus sign that came up there? Okay, if I hold it down and I click on something, I can select more than one thing at once. I now want to copy this line up 5 feet. I do that by hitting Move. I press the Shift or Option button again. I click it. I start going up the line. I can take my finger off the Option button now, and I type in 5 feet. Enter. And the windows are 5 feet tall. So I can hit the Option button again and go up. 5 feet. Enter. There's my first row of windows. I'm going to hit Escape. I'm going to select these two lines. And I think is it 4 feet up? I didn't actually measure it on this one. We're going to draw it at 4 feet. I don't have a scale handy right now. Let's go up 4 feet. And then the windows also are 5 feet tall on the second floor. Yeah, yeah, we'll live with that. Okay, so I've got the tops and bottoms of the windows drawn there. If I look on the drawings from exercise 8, I see that the windows are 3 feet over. So I'm going to click these lines, and I'm going to copy by doing move, getting that plus sign there, 3 feet, enter. The windows are 3 feet wide, 3 feet, enter. And there's 3 feet between them. Yep, I don't know how that happened. We'll cut it out. Hold down my option key, wait for that plus. Oh, I'm moving the wrong line. So let's fix that. Select these lines, make sure they're dark blue. Using the shift or option key. You can Google whatever key to copy in SketchUp, and it will tell you based on which version you have. I'm going 3 feet again. And 3 feet again. I'm going to repeat that exercise over here. Select these. I'll move copy button. Now I'm getting tired of typing in 3 feet all the time. So I can actually just go 3 feet over and click it, and go 3 feet over and click it, and go 3 feet over and click it. Now these windows right here are the same height as the top window there. So I can just go like this. And just trace a line right around the building. Those windows are also 3 feet, but I don't have them dimensioned. Not a problem. I'm going to go right down to the ground for now. Draw a line. I'm going to select that. I'm actually going to select both of those. I'm going to copy them 18 inches over. That's half of 3 feet. And then I can just hit the plus button again and move it over 3 feet. And now I've got the top window, and the door is the same height as these windows here. So I can go around, and I can actually even just go like that. And there's the top of my door. I'll get to the bottom of the door in a minute. I want to do the end windows and the garage door. The end windows, 3 feet. Let's rotate this around. The top windows are going to be at the same height as my other windows. So I draw a line. And actually they're 2 feet over according to the drawing. Come down, go over 3 feet. Find the end point, go up, see where it lines up. There's my window there. And let's pan over. I'm going to orbit around. I know this one's going to be the same height as that one. I know it's going to be the same height here. I know it's 2 feet in, and it's a 3-foot window. So you'll see I tend to use my Move copy command a great deal. All right, and I got one window centered up here. It's 24 feet up. That's going to be a little tricky to figure out, but I'll get it. Well, I know what I do to figure it out. What was the height of the building? Sorry. The overall building height is 36 feet tall. And that is 32 feet, 16 and 16, which means that the circle top is 4 feet down from this window, from the peak of the roof, excuse me. So I'm just going to draw a line down 4 feet. I'm going to go to my circle tool, and I'm going to draw a circle with a radius of 18 inches, 1 foot 6, 1 foot 6. And there's the window on the top. I got another window below it. Oh, that's 24 feet up. So I'm going to have to do math again. Well, 24 and 5 is 29, and this is 32. So the top of that window is 3 feet below the center of this window. So let's just do this. Let's just draw a line 3 feet down. I'm going to go over 18 inches on the green axis. 18. Come down 5 feet. Go over 3 feet. Go up. I'm just going to match it right there. And there's those windows. So I put all the windows on that side of the house. Now I got to get the garage. And I'm going to assume, even though I didn't write it down there, that the garage windows are about the same height as these windows. And here we go. We go up 5 feet again. And the windows are both in 4 feet. And they're 3 foot wide. Same with the other side. And I would just match this one. There we go. Now I'm going to hit save because I should have been doing that numerous times. I wasn't. Okay. This round window on the end here is 16 feet off the ground in the center of the building. I just go to the midpoint of this line. I can go up 16 feet. And there it is. And it is also an 18-inch, 1 foot 6 diameter. 1 foot 6. And there's that window. All right, I'm going to now work my way to the other end of the building by orbiting and get those windows in there. I'm going to come back for the garage doors. Those windows are going to be the same height as these guys. We already drew them in right there. So let's do our copy again. I'll select. It's 4 foot 6 in and it's 3 foot wide. Four foot 6, 3 foot. Okay, I'm going to now move on to the garage doors. Now, let's take a look. If you notice on the drawing, the top of the garage doors is the same height as the windows, the lower windows. So I'm going to do this. There's the top of my garage doors. Now, this line's just getting in my way, so I'm going to get rid of that. Delete. Okay, the top windows come down a foot. And the door height is 8 feet off the ground. You really are going to want to figure out how to do this move command if you're going to spend any time at all, this move copy, because it saves you a lot of time. This door is 3 foot in. I'm going to orbit so I get the right view here. I'm going to select these 2 lines. Actually, it's going to be 3 lines. I'm going to make it 2 lines. I'm going to get rid of these for now because they're already starting to get in my way. You know, this is the erasing you can do later or when you feel it might be necessary, but it seemed to make sense at that time. It's 3 foot in. The door is 9 feet wide. There's a foot between the doors. And then it's another 9 feet, which I'm just going to copy off of this one. Oh, and what I forgot to do was do that top line, but that's not really a problem because I'll just rest it on this and I bring it up and you'll see it's a dotted line. I can click on there and go there. I rest it on here. There's my dotted line. There. Rest it, bring it up, click, go. Rest it, bring it up without clicking, then click, and then go. And now I put those small windows on top. Oh, I made a mistake. And I don't know what it is. That does not look right to me. And it isn't. All right, this gap is only supposed to be 6 inches. All right, and I know that this top line is at the top line of these. So that tells me that either my doors are too short at 8 feet or these windows are too small. I'm going to go ahead and make these windows a little bigger. If I just select on those and then I hit the move command, zoom in a little, I can just go down and make a mess. So we're not going to do that. What we're going to do, I'm going to select all these lines. And hopefully this will work without screwing up my model, but I don't know if it will. I think I can just move these down 6 inches. And sure enough, and that looks a little better to me. I'm going to do a little cleanup. Let's clean up this side. All right, oh, we still got some work up there to do. I'm just going to go around and clean up some of this. Work on the front a little bit. I'm going to get rid of those extra lines there. I'm going to work on the front steps in a minute. Just highlighting it and selecting it, making it turn dark blue, and then hitting the delete key. I'm just getting rid of a lot of these extra lines that I don't need. Let's save this. All right, well, we got a little radius window here that's 4 foot down from the peak, and it's got a 12-inch radius. Come down 4 feet, and I don't think it's 4 feet. Oh, I see what I did. All right, if you remember early on, I made this peak 5 feet. Excuse me, I made it 4 feet. It really should have been 5. So I've got a mistake in there. So I'm just going to go ahead and redo that peak, as painful as that seems. If I put this back, hopefully I won't lose my windows. No, my window's still there. I misread a dimension. 5 feet up. I'll go back till it says on face. And there we have the front. And hopefully this will look a little better when I do my line down 4 feet. That should work. Now I've got a radius window of 1 foot. So I go 12 or 1 foot. Either way, I put it in inches. Let's hit save. Okay, now we got these front steps. What I don't tell you on the measure drawing that I give you, each one of those steps is 6 inches tall. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, there's 4 of them. All right, so that means they're going to go up 2 feet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on here. I'm going to make a line up 2 feet right on top of the other line. When I did that, it gave me an endpoint there. I know that's the top of the stairs. I'm going to get rid of these lines. I'm then going to select all these. Whoops. Right there. Okay, I'm just going to select here and get rid of that because I made a mistake. Yeah, I'm going to work this a little differently, but I'll show you how. Okay, the steps stick out from the building. The platform sticks out 5 feet, and then you'll have 3 treads of 1 foot each. And you can see that up on your roof plan. It was included with assignment 8. That's what I'm using to base this on. So I'm going to come out 5 feet. And I'm going to make a little box there. I'm then going to go out a foot, because each one of those steps are a foot. 1, 2, and 3. So now I've got my basic steps set up. Now I'm going to use push-pull to make my steps. I know that there's 6 inches per step. So if I go push-pull and I go up 6 inches, and now I can just double click on this next one. See how it turned pimply when I went over it? Double click on it, it goes up 6, goes up 6, double click, goes up 6. Don't worry about it changing color, we'll fix that in a minute. Double click 6, 6, 6, skip the first one, and lo and behold, I now have my steps made. Now, you'll notice every now and then SketchUp reverses the colors. You got these white steps and these gray steps. It really doesn't matter for what you're going to print out and trace, but it just bothers me. So I go select. I can press my shift key and add all of those. I'm going to orbit. Select with the shift key. I've got all those. I right click on the mouse. See the thing right here says reverse faces? Now it looks the same as the others. I'm going to select these and get rid of some of these scrap lines. I'm going to orbit over here. and get rid of some of the lines I don't need anymore. Now I've got my steps done. File, save. Pan down, go over here, and I'm good with the door. I'm going to clean up some of these extra lines on these windows, and then I'm going to move on to the patio or deck, whatever you'd like to call it. Okay, now I've got all my windows in. What I've got left to do is the deck and the chimney. All right, I'm going to go up to the site plan I gave in exercise 8, pointed out that the deck is 40 feet wide and it sticks out from the building 15 feet. So, and that's the overall. So how do I do that? Well, I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to draw a line out from the middle, 15 feet. I'm going to go over 20 feet, half of 40. I'm going to come back till it lines up here, which is going to be 15 feet. I'm going to do the same thing over here. I go over 20 feet. I go back until it lines up with this. And something went awry. The reason I know something's wrong is because it didn't automatically shade when I clicked that. So let's get rid of that, and let's get rid of that, and we're going to get rid of that. We're going to go 20 feet. We're going to go back 15 feet, and then we're going to come over and click here, and it should fill in like that. That means I did it right. I'm going to erase this line. Now I'm going to hit save because I'm going to show you another tool called the offset tool. That's up here, offset. What I do is I select these 3 lines. Okay, I've got them all highlighted. Now if I click offset and I click on that line, if I drag it in, you'll notice it copies all 3 inside of the other one. And the distance is 12 foot because I say that it's 12 inches, 1 foot. Each one of these steps is 12. And then I can go 24, my next one, and then I can go 36. And now I've got the same 3 steps in height that I had here. And I'm going to do the same push-pull thing where I go up 6 inches. And then I do it again, and 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 again. And now I've got my deck steps drawn up like they are on the site plan, only in 3D. We're going to hit save. Zoom out a little. Time to take on that chimney. If I go back up to my elevations, I can see that my chimney is 5 feet from the peak. And it is 2 feet wide. I show that on the roof plan, and 8 feet long. So how are we going to do this? Well, I'm going to start in the middle. I'm going to draw a line in the center, and I'm going to go up 5 feet on the blue axis. 5 feet. Enter. I'm going to go over 2 feet. 1 foot because I drew it in the middle. That way. I know that it's 4 feet in each direction. So I can draw another line. 4 feet. And if I do the overall width, it's going to be 8 feet. Now if I go over 2 feet, and then I come back till it lights up like that, click, now I've got the top of the chimney, but it didn't shade in. Probably because I had these lines here. I'm going to get rid of those. I'll even get rid of that one for now. I'm going to trace over one of these lines. And look at that, it fills right in. So now what I want to do is I'm going to push pull. I'm going to grab this. I'm going to just drag it down till it says right there. Just make sure it shoots right through the roof. Done. And again, it reversed the faces because sometimes it does that. And I don't like it. So I'm going to go ahead, select all those faces. And again, I'm just holding, in this case, you could hold the Option key where it says plus, or your Shift key, whatever Windows tells you to do. And I'm going to go reverse faces. And now they're the same color as the rest of the building. Well, now we've got the building drawn with all the windows on it and the chimney and the garage doors. Let's just save that again. Now I'm going to bring my axes back just for a minute, because now I want to import the site plan. Whoops, I did not mean to hit rotate. I meant to hit orbit. Okay. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. So what I'm going to do, and for some reason I am just dying to hit rotate there. All right. File, import, find out where you saved your site plan. In my case, it's in class 20. There, I've got it. And you can get these. The site plan will be on Canvas. All right, I'm just going to click it. I'm going to click it right on the corner of the building and see how it flips. I want to flip it down flat for now and just click it there. I'm going to pull it out a ways. Okay, and then I'm going to do, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out how far off I am. And I do that like this. I've got a graphic scale on that site plan. This distance should be 40 feet. I use my tape measure and I measure it. Well, it's not 40. Well, as it turns out, I imported it and sized it almost exactly right. So you probably won't get that lucky. So let's assume that when you stretched it out, here, this is what we're going to do. We're just going to do it all over, and I'm going to do it wrong because you'll never get that lucky the first time. File, import. I'll bring in the JPEG. I'm going to click it on a window. And I'm going to make it what I know is the wrong size. There we go. It's too small. Going to orbit. Going to measure. Right from the 0 right to the 40. And that says it's 11 foot 9 and 9/16. Well, let's just call it 12 feet for now. And that means it's too small. I need to make it bigger. If I take 40 feet and I divide that by the 11 foot 9, but we're going to call it 12 foot, that tells me I got to make it 3.33333 times as big. So all I did was I took 40 and I divided it by what I measured. And that means if you need to make it bigger, you take the 40 foot, which is the scale of the drawing, that's what you measured, and divide it by the smaller number if it was your actual measurement. And actually that's what you're going to do no matter what. If the drawing was too big and it measured at 50, you would take the 40 and divide it by 50, and it would give you something like 0.8. So take the number that you want, which in this case is 40 feet, and divide it by whatever you measured it, and write that number down or keep it handy on your calculator. In my case, it was 3.333. I go up and I hit the scale button. You'll notice these little cubes come around it. Grab a corner cube, and notice it says uniform scale about opposite point. Left click, drag it to make it bigger, and type in 3 point, in my case, 3.333. Now, I'm going to check it again. I'm going to use my tape measure, and lo and behold, it's coming out 39, 3, and 4, whatever. Well, let's call that 39 and a half. So I take 40 and I divide it by 39.5 and I get 1.0127. So I'm going to scale it again. Escape, pan, scale, 1.0127. And it's going to get a little bigger. Didn't look like it got any bigger, but we'll see. Looked to me like it got smaller. Nope. So that came in at, yeah, 39, 11, 40, wherever it's close enough to 40. So now what I've got to do is I've got to somehow get this under the plan, and I've got to get it at the right angle. Now, because the house is at an angle, it's going to get a little trickier. First, I'm going to spin it like this, which is closer to the angle of the house. Now I'm going to move it, my move command, and I only am going to move it in the direction of an axis. See where it's not black? I'm going to move it to the red, where it looks like it's close to the corner. Then I'm going to click it again and move it to the green. So it looks like the corner's getting close. All I'm trying to do is line up the corner of the garage with the corner of the garage. And I have a ways to go. I'm going to move. Again, click, go in the red direction. Oh, that looks pretty close. Good enough for what we're doing. But now I got to spin this thing to get it to line up with the house. So I'm going to use my rotate command. I'm going to click right on that corner of the house. I'm going to drag it up here. I'm going to left click, and then I'm just going to dial this thing until it looks like it lines up pretty close to the garage and the rest of the house, which I would say is about right there. Left click, and I'm done with that part of it. Let's hit save. So now what I've done is I've imported the plan, I've scaled the plan, and I've set it right up with the house. Now let's find a view that I want to draw. I'm going to, in this case, I'd like to do one that's a little bit up in the air, but not a lot up in the air. So maybe about right here, and I'm going to zoom in. Okay, this would be about an eye level perspective. It's about 5 feet off the ground. I can tell because the horizon line is lighting up with the bottom of my windows, which is at about 5 feet. And that makes a nice perspective. But you might want to show a little more of the landscape so you can make it a little aerial. I'm going to pan it. I'm just going to get it right where I want it. And notice I'm moving it up a little bit. You know, I sense I can show a fair amount of the trees that are going on, and the pond, and some trees in the background. And I would even orbit it a little bit. Come down even a little lower. So I can still see where those trees are. And I can get this. Now, if you'll notice in this scene, the chimney's like almost off the page. And I'd like the house a little more centered in it. But if I orbit it, it changes the horizon line. Watch what happens. If I orbit it, notice how that horizon line goes down, and I'm looking at it like it's from the ground, so I don't want to orbit. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click, and see where it says look around, and you get these two little eyeballs? We'll go ahead and look up. And this is just like you're swiveling your head. So your head, see, if I wanted to look at my feet, I could look down at my feet. There's my feet where they'd be. Or I can look up, but you'll notice that the horizon line is still at the same place. So now I want to get that kind of centered where I like it. That looks like a nice view to me. Okay, but there is one thing I don't like. See how these windows happen to almost touch that line? I don't like that because it's going to be tougher to draw. So I just want to spin the house a little bit this way. That's going to be with the orbit command. That look around won't do any good, but orbit will. So now I haven't got any lines crossing over each other, although this is a bit of a mess. So what if I went a little more like this? Yeah, I'm probably going to go right about there. I'm going to hide my axes, view axis. I'm going to go, I think, view, animation, add scene. Go ahead and leave it on save it as a new scene and go create scene. And you get a little thing in here that says scene 1. By doing that, what that means is if I screw up and turn it upside down and zoom out and make some hideous mistake, or even, get it right off the page completely, all I have to do is click scene 1 and it will come right back to the view that I remembered and that I liked. So that's the view I'm going to sketch for our final perspective. So now you've got a couple choices. What I would do and what I think you should do is immediately go File, Export 2D Graphic. We can save it as a JPEG, which should be the default mode. All right, for options, I don't really care. Whatever resolution you've got is fine. Leave it at that. We're going to leave it at the same name. I'm going to save it on my desktop, which is where I saved my original drawing. There it is. Export. Now it says exporting 2D graphic. I'm going to go ahead and just save this drawing again. Save. And I can, at that point, even close out of SketchUp because I'm done with SketchUp. If we then go to where we save this stuff, which in my case is the desktop, all right, I've got Class Final SketchUp. I've got this Class Final SketchUp JPEG. And if I click on that, that's what comes up. That is in preview. In my case, I'm on a Mac. You might have it in your photo viewer or whatever you've got in Windows. But the difference being, I can't orbit, I can't pan. That is just a straight out image. And that's all it is. So now I would go File, Print. Okay, and I can, in Mac, I get this little preview that shows it. I'm printing it out on a letter and as a JPEG, and it's going to fill the page. You're welcome to use up your black ink if you want to. I tend to go grayscale. Okay, and then I would hit print. And what will come out of my printer will be what I'm going to be drawing. And I'm going to end this part of going through the final right here. What we've done is we've gone steps 1, 2, and 3 on how I would approach the final project. I will do other ones to take us through the rest of the steps. But for now, again, steps 1, 2, and 3, make the SketchUp model, pick the view you would like to create, and create a scene of it in SketchUp, and print the SketchUp model. There will be more to come, and keep checking back on Canvas, and I will add these as I do them. Take care and good luck.